Relax and take notes while I take totes of the marijuana smoke. Throw you in a choke, gun smoke. Biggie Smalls for mayor, the rap slayer, the hooker layer. Motherfucker, say your prayers. Hail Mary, full of grace. Smack the bitch in the face, take her Gucci bag and a North Face off her back. Jab her if she act funny with the money. Oh, you got me mistaken, honey. I don't wanna rape ya, I just want the paper, the visa, the pisha. I'm out like the vapors. Who's the one?
The biggest man in that prison yard stopped dead in his tracks and stared. For 3 years, no one had ever walked onto his yard like that. But Muhammad Ali didn't slow down. He didn't look around. He just walked like he already owned the place. If you want to see what happened next, hit subscribe. We drop these every single day. It was a Tuesday morning in the fall of 1967. The Indiana State Correctional Facility was already awake by the time the transport van pulled through the main gates. The guards had been briefed the night before. A new inmate was arriving. Not just any inmate. Muhammad Ali, former heavyweight champion of the world. The man who had refused military induction and paid for it with his freedom, his title, and 3 years of his life. He was 25 years old, and he was walking into a world that operated by completely different rules than anything he had ever known. The processing took the better part of 2 hours. Paperwork, medical checks, photographs, fingerprints. Standard procedure, no exceptions, not even for legends. Ali went through each step without complaint. The guards watched him carefully, expecting arrogance, expecting the loud, boastful man they had seen on television. What they got instead was someone who observed everything quietly, took in every detail, and said very little. One of the intake officers later told a colleague that it was the most unsettling intake he had ever processed. Not because Ali caused problems, because he didn't. He just watched. By the time Ali was assigned to cell block D and walked through the heavy steel door into the general population wing, word had already spread through the entire facility. The new arrival was not just any inmate, he was somebody. And in a place where identity was currency, that meant everything and nothing at the same time. The prison yard was controlled territory, every inch of it. There were invisible lines that inmates understood without anyone drawing them. Certain benches belonged to certain men. Certain corners of the yard were off limits, unless you had permission. The weight equipment near the east wall had been claimed for 3 years by one man and one man alone. His name was Gerald Boone, 6 feet and 5 inches tall, 310 pounds, with hands that looked like they had been carved from stone. Gerald had been at the facility for 6 years, with 9 more to go. In that time, he had established himself as the undisputed authority of the prison yard. Not through politics, not through alliances, but through raw, physical dominance that nobody had ever seriously challenged. Guards knew his name. The warden knew his face, and every single inmate in that facility knew one rule above all others. The yard belonged to Gerald Boone. When Ali stepped into the yard for the first time that Tuesday morning, Gerald was already there. He was standing near the weight equipment, arms crossed, watching the new arrival the way a man watches something he is trying to decide how to handle. Around him, the usual crowd of inmates had gathered, but nobody was talking. Everyone was watching. The yard, which was normally filled with noise and movement, had gone unusually quiet. Ali walked in and stopped just past the entrance. He looked around slowly, taking in the space, the walls, the guard towers, the clusters of men watching him. His expression was calm, not the calm of someone who was scared and hiding it. The calm of someone who had already done the math and liked the answer. He spotted an empty bench near the center of the yard and walked toward it without hesitation. He sat down, leaned back slightly, and looked up at the sky like a man who had nowhere better to be. Gerald watched this for about 30 seconds. Then he started walking. The yard went completely silent. Inmates who had been pretending not to watch stopped pretending. Every set of eyes tracked Gerald as he crossed the yard toward Ali, his crew staying back, giving him space, understanding without being told that this was something Gerald intended to handle personally. He stopped about 4 feet from where Ali was sitting and looked down at him. "You are in my yard," Gerald said. His voice was low, steady, and absolutely certain of itself. Ali looked up at him. He did not stand up. He did not lean forward. He just looked up the way you look at something that is mildly interesting and said, "I do not see your name on it." The yard made a sound that was almost nothing, a collective exhale. Somewhere near the far wall, a man whispered something to the man next to him and was immediately silenced by the look he received in return. Gerald stared at Ali for a long moment. "Nobody talks to me like that in here," he said. Ali tilted his head slightly. "Then you have been talking to the wrong people." What happened next was not a fight. It was not an explosion of violence. It was something that those who witnessed it found much harder to explain afterward. Because it was not the kind of thing you expected to see in a prison yard. Gerald reached down and grabbed the front of Ali's jumpsuit, pulled him to his feet, and in that same instant Ali was already moving, already inside Gerald's reach, already positioned in a way that made Gerald's size and strength suddenly irrelevant. It lasted less than 4 seconds. When it was over, Gerald was against the concrete wall of the yard, breathing hard, and Ali was standing in the open space, completely still, looking at him without anger, without triumph, without anything except patience. The yard was silent for 10 full seconds. Then Ali walked back to the bench and sat down again. Nobody moved, nobody spoke. Gerald stood against the wall and looked at Ali for a long time. The calculation on his face was visible to everyone watching. This was the moment that defined everything that came after. Gerald Boone had ruled the yard for 3 years because nobody had ever given him a real reason to reconsider his position. Now he had one, and the way he handled it was going to determine what the next 9 years of his sentence looked like. Gerald finally pushed off the wall. He walked back across the yard, past his crew, past the watching inmates, and sat down at his usual bench. He picked up a weight and started his workout like nothing had happened. But everyone in that yard understood that something had happened. Something significant. The rules had just been rewritten, and the man who had rewritten them was sitting calmly in the middle of the yard, looking at the sky. Over the following days, the story spread through every cell block in the facility. Each retelling added details, adjusted the timing, elevated the drama. But the men who were actually in the yard that morning all told the same core version. Muhammad Ali had walked into a prison controlled by the most physically dominant man in the facility, had been confronted directly, and had responded in a way that was neither aggressive nor submissive. He had responded like someone who understood that real authority was not given or taken. It was demonstrated, quietly, clearly, and without any unnecessary words. Gerald Boone never challenged Ali again. More than that, he never challenged anyone the same way again. Something about that Tuesday morning in the yard had shifted something in him too. Years later, one of the guards, who had watched the whole thing from the tower, would say that it was the most remarkable thing he had seen in 20 years on the job, not because of the physical exchange, which lasted only seconds, but because of what came before and after it. 2 men, 1 yard, 1 moment that changed the atmosphere of an entire facility. Ali served his time the way he did everything else, on his own terms, with his eyes open, and with a kind of dignity that made everyone around him reconsider what that word actually meant. Muhammad Ali walked into that prison yard on a Tuesday morning with nothing but his name and the way he carried himself. He did not ask for respect. He did not demand it. He simply moved through the world in a way that made it impossible to ignore. Gerald Boone had spent 3 years building an empire out of fear and physical dominance, and in less than 5 minutes, Ali had shown him and everyone watching that there was a different kind of power, a kind that did not need to announce itself, a kind that did not flinch when tested. The yard belonged to Gerald for 3 years, But the morning Muhammad Ali arrived, something changed. Not just in the yard, in every man who witnessed it and carried that story with them for the rest of their lives. Real strength does not always look the way you expect it to. Sometimes it looks like a man sitting on a bench, looking at the sky, completely unbothered by the storm headed in his direction. If this story hit different, you already know what to do. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because we drop a new story every single day. Every single day, we bring you the moments that history forgot to write down, the confrontations that happen behind closed doors, the stories that spread through prison walls and never made it into the newspapers. Muhammad Ali spent years proving that the greatest could not be contained by any ring, any court, any wall, or any man who thought size was the same thing as strength. There are more stories where this one came from. Do not miss a single one. Subscribe right now, and we will see you tomorrow.